Good day, good morning, good evening. Depends from where our participant and guest speakers are watching. Our panel number 8, International Conference IAMPE 25, Architecture of Peace in the New Global Era, Challenges, Opportunities 2025-2035. A little bit short, I want to represent the plenary session 9, the human rights, kidnapping and related issues. And today we have two amazing panelists. First is Professor Fayaz Ayad Ansari, and second is Advocate Utsav Saurabh. I would like to give a floor first to our professor, but before that, shortly and briefly, I will introduce yourself. So Professor Fayaz Ayad Ansari is a legal scholar and global educator. He's assistant professor of law, senior scale, KIT School of Law, PhD scholar and LSTU Bangalore researcher in Mediterranean International Center, Italy, global lecturer at Stanford, Diplomatic Academy of Russia, Istanbul Topkapi University, University of Seville, author of 5 books and editor of 10, including Spanish and Portuguese works. He is awarded as a best constitutional law faculty in South Asia under 32 in Peru 2024. His expertise is constitutional law, comparative public law, media law, and human rights. So it's with great honor I want to give you a floor, Professor. Stage is yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Advocate Christine, for that gracious introduction of mine. So, first of all, I would like to congratulate you and the entire team for organizing such a wonderful conference, which is very much the need of the hour as far as architecture of peace in the new global era is concerned. And I also went through the various panels and the topics which were selected by you. They were very, very relevant and contemporary in nature. So I also congratulate you for that. I'm very excited to actually deal with the topic which you have chosen for me today, which is largely at the intersections of my areas of interest. I'm largely very much into constitutional law, public law, international law. And when you talk about the topic which this particular panel discussion will be taking off, that is largely related to these areas only. So, as far as my talk is concerned on kidnapping and human rights in the realm of public law, I have divided my talk into various subheadings. So, first of all, I will be talking about the constitutional aspects or the human rights aspects as far as kidnapping is concerned. Then I will discuss about the criminal law aspects of this particular crime. Then I will go into the international perspective regarding the same. And then finally, I will wind up my talk with my conclusion. So I will basically try to cover constitutional law, criminal law, and international law, which are all related to public law in the realm of human rights and kidnapping. So starting off now, before going into constitutional law, we need to understand what do you understand by kidnapping. Well, there are multiple definitions across the world which we will find as far as kidnapping is concerned, both in the common law legal systems as well as the civil law legal systems. So it is kind of a difficult job to actually ascertain that what exactly comes within the framework of, within the definition of kidnapping and what goes beyond that. However, even though the definition of kidnapping may be a bit scattered throughout the world, but there are certain common elements which are, common across jurisdictions as far as the understanding of kidnapping is concerned. So basically, taking a person out from a particular jurisdiction and setting up that person in another jurisdiction through maybe misrepresentation, maybe by use of force, even coercion may be there sometimes. And there are multiple jurisdictions, like, for example, India, where I come from. Here we have got a distinction between the offenses of kidnapping on one hand and abduction on the other hand, whereby kidnapping is more about representation, misrepresentation. It is primarily against the guardians of the minor, but abduction is a lot more forceful in nature. There's an element of coercion, which is basically against the consent of the person being subject to the abduction. So these are the certain common aspects across the jurisdictions whereby taking out the person from a particular jurisdiction that is there. Now coming into the constitutional aspects. As far as the Indian Constitution is concerned, we have got the right to life and personal liberty. This has been contemplated under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. So, earlier, if we have a look at the interpretation, because at the end of the day, India largely follows the common law legal system. So at the end of the day, a lot actually depends on the interpretation of the courts, that how is the law interpreted by the courts, and then it sets the precedent, how the common law legal system works. So earlier, I mean, our constitution came into force in 1950, so that was 75 years back. Earlier, the understanding of right to life and personal liberty, as I just said, under Article 21, that was very limited in nature. So that basically meant, through the interpretation of the courts, that as long as you are basically alive, your right to life is there. It is not getting violated. It is not getting infringed. So you must simply be alive. So it was not taken into consideration that how you are alive, the manner, the quality of your life, that was beyond the jurisdiction of the courts till the 1970s. So it was a very limited interpretation, a very narrow interpretation of right to life and personal liberty. Sometimes even the Indian, the scholars, they have used the term like mere animal existence. So just the fact that you are existing like an animal, doesn't matter how you are existing, the quality of your life, the mere fact that you are existing is good enough for you to be enjoying your right to life, as contemplated under Article 21. But then, since the 1970s onwards, the apex court of India, which is the Supreme Court of India, it started changing the course of action as far as this right to life is concerned. It now, through judgments like, Menaka Gandhi versus Union of India and certain other important cases, what the Indian Supreme Court now started doing is that it started broadening the scope of right to life and personal liberty. It started widening the limits of right to life and personal liberty. And now, through successive judgments, uh, through a number of these judgments, I won't be quoting each of these judgments, but now the Indian Supreme Court has acknowledged that right to life and personal liberty does not only include the right to mere existence, but it also includes the quality of the life. So, right to food is now a part of right to life. Right to shelter, it is a part of it. Right to clean drinking water. right to clothing, right to health care, right to education, and recently in 2017, even right to privacy has been included as a part and parcel of right to life. Now, why am I laying down this background for a talk on kidnapping? So basically, none of us can deny the fact that when a person, whether a minor or a major, gets kidnapped, the first thing which gets diluted, which gets evaporated, is the personal liberty of that person. Liberty is the first thing which suffers as soon as anyone gets kidnapped. You are, in fact, apart from Article 21 of the Indian Constitution, which I have narrated earlier, even Article 19 of the Indian Constitution also talks about right to freedom. Various types of freedom are mentioned. One of the freedoms, which is mentioned under Article 19(1)(d) of the Indian Constitution, is the freedom of movement. So you can basically move across any nook and corner of the country. So even this freedom gets severely compromised the moment any person gets kidnapped or abducted. So the Indian Supreme Court now acknowledges multiple things that when a person actually gets kidnapped, not only does the person's freedom of movement suffer, but the privacy also suffers. You're not in your private place. It's not that you have got your free will, which you can carry forward. That also suffers. At the same time, there's a lot of mental trauma which the person suffers. And at the end of the day, right to life includes a peaceful, healthy living environment in terms of the mental aspect of it. So this is how the Constitution of India basically interacts, basically talks of the rights which any person is guaranteed of. And this is how kidnapping or abduction basically compromises on this a lot. Now, when we go, now I'm going to the next segment of my talk. So now from constitutional law and human rights, now I am trying to showcase the criminal law aspects of the crime of the offense of kidnapping. Now, uh, uh, the penal laws in India are quite old. The first comprehensive penal law, which is the criminal law, substantive law, was drafted as early as 1860, which was the Indian Penal Code during the time of the British. So, since that point of time itself, the Indian Penal Code had defined in various provisions, stretching from sections 359, 360, many are there. So the Indian Penal Code dealt with the offenses of kidnapping and abduction. It tried to define that what do you mean by kidnapping, what do you mean by abduction. It tried to also lay down the age limit as well, that at what point of time will it be considered, according to the age of the victim, will it be considered an act of kidnapping, and when will it be considered as an act of abduction. So even that was laid down. So what I basically want to point out here is that the Indian criminal law is not alien to kidnapping. It has been there for centuries altogether. There has been a broad understanding. Uh, Now, of course, just the last year in July, India decided to absolutely overhaul its criminal laws, its substantive laws as well. And the Indian Penal Code was now substituted, it was now replaced by the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, the BNS. So it's a Hindi term which basically means that seeking to achieve justice as far as the people are concerned. So in the BNS, the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita as well, it is typically defined that if any minor who has got a legal guardian, if that minor is induced into moving away from that miner's place of usual residence, or that where that miner is particularly there at that point of time, and induced into leaving that place. It can be something very simple. If you're walking down the lane and you find a minor, a child, you induce that child by simply offering certain chocolates or toffees to the child. And the child then starts following you. Even that constitutes the offense of kidnapping. Here, the important thing here is that it is not necessary that the offender needs to use any force, needs to use any coercion. An act of inducement, an act of misrepresentation, coupled with the malified or the bad intention, is enough to constitute the crime of kidnapping. On the other hand, another aspect of kidnapping is abduction. In abduction, it is not only about misrepresentation, it is also about using force. So, forcefully getting someone from a place and changing the place of existence or the jurisdiction of that person, and cutting down all the communication channels of that person. All these constitute the offense of abduction. So the criminal laws in India, as at least the substantive laws, are very much empowered as far as dealing with this offense is concerned. However, there are certain challenges which are definitely there. Challenges in the implementation of the law, which is procedural in nature. Sometimes it becomes difficult to, just like any other crime, any other offense, sometimes it becomes difficult to prove the offense beyond reasonable doubt. In most of the common law countries, this is a common thing across the world almost, that in order to prove any criminal offense, the standard of proof required from the end of the prosecution, that standard is beyond reasonable doubt. So it's a high standard. This is in sharp contrast to usually what very often we deal with civil disputes in mediation, where the standard of proof required to prove something is preponderance of probabilities. So that's not a very high standard which is required. It is basically that, okay, when it is reasonably possible that something might have occurred, we assume it and we hold it to be true, not subjecting it to a very, very high standard of proof. But in contrast to this, when you talk about criminal law across jurisdictions, uh, when you want to prove someone guilty, the standard of proof required is very high. It is beyond reasonable doubt. So no reasonable doubts, no other alternative should be possible in order to hold someone liable for it, and rightly so. I'm not at all criticizing this, because at the end of the day, the fundamental principle of criminal law is innocent until proven guilty. So a person is assumed to be innocent until the person has been proven guilty. And this high standard of proof which is required, it is in synchronization, it is matching with the fundamental principle of criminal law. But uh, as far as proving the guilt is concerned, sometimes the investigation agencies face a lot of issues in achieving this, because at the end of the day, the prosecution, the investigation agencies, sometimes they are overburdened, so they have got way too many cases to deal with. Sometimes they may not be adequately trained, so they may be carrying out investigation of some kind of offenses, but not necessarily be trained in investigation of other kind of offenses. So that is sometimes a hurdle. Sometimes the infrastructure to train these personnel may not be there with the state for various reasons, lack of resources, and sometimes there may be paucity of staff. So the number of people, number of authorities who are given the responsibility to carry out such investigations may be minimum. So they may be over-numbered with the number of cases which they have to deal with. So these are just a few challenges which I am pointing towards the investigation or the procedural side of things. As far as challenges, the worldwide is concerned for the crime of kidnapping. So, in the light of these challenges, now I will keep it there and now move on to the international aspect of it. So, when we talk about international law, there are a number of generic laws like the United Nations Charter is there, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which is 1948 UDHR is there, the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which ICCPR is there of 1966. So, what I basically mean to say that there is no shortage of charters or covenants as far as international law is concerned. You have a look at the Statute of International Court of Justice under Article 38 1C. It also lays down a number of sources of international law which may be referred to, which not only includes the conventions, but it also includes customs, it includes the writings or opinions of the jurist, it includes the treaties, excuse me. So it includes the treaties which are undertaken, whether a bilateral treaty or a multilateral treaty between various nations altogether. So where does kidnapping as an offense stand as far as international law is concerned? Freedom of movement, freedom to reside and settle anywhere, freedom of life, liberty, all these are contemplated, they are envisioned very thoroughly in all these charters which I just pointed out, whether we talk about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and even for that matter, the regional conventions like the African Charter of Human Rights or the European Convention of Human Rights, all these very much take into consideration the right to movement and right to personal liberty of any person is concerned. So international law does take care of it, but there is an inherent limitation of international law, which is it is difficult to enforce international law. Not only, I mean, we have seen a number of examples, even in today's day and age, we have seen a number of examples where it becomes challenging for the authorities to enforce international law, even though there may be seemingly a blatant violation of it. So that's the inherent weakness of international law. That is why perhaps when we read about John Austin lays down that international law is a very weak law. It is not really a true law. It is at most positive international morality. So he makes these arguments based on these aspects only, that it is very difficult to enforce international law. So, as far as India is concerned, India is a signatory to various United Nations conventions, specifically the conventions related to the transcontinental or the trans-organized crimes, because sometimes kidnapping or abduction is not only limited to the boundaries of any particular country, but sometimes this goes beyond the borders as well. And that's a next level serious issue altogether. So, of course, India, through its domestic laws, because we largely follow the dualist theory of international law. So, here we are required in India to make domestic laws which will certify the implementation of the international laws. So we seek to do that, but of course there are challenges, and the state tries its level best in order to ensure that the international law is successfully implemented at the domestic level. So these are the broad international law ramifications with a specific reference to, of course, India in this regard. So after talking about this background information or the role of kidnapping through the lens of constitutional law, human rights, criminal law, and international law one by one, now I would move ahead to the concluding part of my talk. And the conclusion is more not only a conclusion, but it is also about maybe the way forward and suggestions as well. So, as far as eliminating the offense of kidnapping or abduction is concerned, for any jurisdiction across the world, it is very important that the substantive law and the procedural law of that country, of that jurisdiction, is aligned in a particular direction, which means that uh, procedural law can only be successful if the investigating agencies are properly equipped in order to deal with the challenges which they actually deal with. So whether we talk about the infrastructure, whether we talk about the training, whether we talk about joint exercises, and even for that matter, international collaboration in this regard is also very welcome in order, because why do we do international collaboration? Of course, we have a passion for learning about other jurisdictions across the world. Yes, that is true. But the ultimate objective of international collaboration, as well as for that matter, comparative law, is the betterment of one's own legal system. So you seek to learn from the good practices, from the best practices of other legal systems, other jurisdictions, and try to implement it in your system. Of course, I'm not talking about simply doing a copy paste job from other jurisdictions, but what I'm saying is that suited to the needs of that particular society, that culture, with suitable adaptations, there is always the room for learning from other jurisdictions, and the same applies for a successful criminal laws, human rights, as far as the offense of kidnapping and abduction is concerned. And of course, the international community should have a lot more discourse regarding the same, so that at the end of the day, no solution comes before any discussion. Discussion is important, brainstorming sessions are important, international collaborations like this conference which is happening right now, these are very important in order to understand the issue and further suggest for any deliberations later on. So that's how I would like to wrap up my session on kidnapping and abduction in the light of constitutional law and human rights. Uh, I, I'm sure if someone has any queries or questions or any discussions, I'm very willing to take it up front and carry forward the discourse. I hope I have done justice to the half an hour which I have taken of yours in the last half hour. And again, I again congratulate the organizers, and in particular Advocate Christine, who wears many hats, who's a mediator as well, and who does many things. So I'm so grateful to you for the kind invitation and having me on board for your prestigious conference. Thank you.
Thank you, dear professor. Just now you can a bit relax, because I have two cases, and I do know your organization exactly is working with the human rights and kidnapping and everything related of these issues. That's why I invited you to speak about. And I have my cases as well. So this, the icing on the cake, we will come back to this cake later. Now I want to give the floor to our second panelist speaker, and after his session we will speak, and you will see how interesting conversation we will have it. So I want to invite second our panelist is advocate Utsav Saurav, founder Saurav and Associates, and in Delhi, 6 years litigation experience. He has specialized in the criminal, constitutional, corporate, and matrimonial law. He represents clients before the Supreme Court, High Court, and tribunals. Founder and managing partner, Saurav Association in New Delhi. Saurav, he's a mediator as well, IAMPE accreditation, and he's tries to put his note out of suit and catch anything what he can do, and he tries to investigate everything. Saurav, stage is yours. Please share your expertise.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christine, ma'am. Am I audible to everybody? All right, all right. Well, this topic, mediation, law, and kidnapping, I had a choice on this that I can talk about this in different areas, like mediation separately, law separately, and the kidnapping separately, then relate. What I wanted to do is to bridge it. So I tried to bridge it with the ancient wisdom, like the Indian ancient wisdom, with the modern justice, and come out with the transformative solutions. Distinguished delegates, esteemed colleagues, and fellow practitioners of the international mediation law, today I am here before you to address one of the most uh, challenging intersections in our legal landscape, that is the convergence of mediation law and the kidnapping. As we all are gathered here at this IAMPE annual international conference, I invite you to join me on a journey that spans centuries of human wisdom uh, through the Hindu, Indian mythological texts and explore the depths of the cultural understanding and emerges with the revolutionary approaches to one of the humanity's most traumatic crimes. Like, ladies and gentlemen, when I reflect upon the magnitude of this challenge, the number tells a sobering story that demands our immediate attention. As many as more than 1 lakh kidnapping and abduction cases reported in India alone in the year 2022, which means that every single day, over more than 290 families experiences this unimaginable trauma of having a loved one taken away from them. This translates to one kidnapping case every 5 minutes in our country. In India, while simultaneously an average of 88 individuals are reported missing every hour across India. When we examine the global patterns, India's kidnapping rate is more than 7%. It's approx 7.4, 7.5 per 1 lakh population in the year 2021, and which reflects a crisis that has seen a notable surge of more than 5% in the recent years, representing not merely statistics, but shattered families, traumatized communities, and a justice system grappling with overwhelming caseloads in the Indian judicial system. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to take you to the historical evolution of the mediation and try to explain you with the instances of kidnapping and abduction. The historical tapestry of kidnapping reveals patterns that stretches across civilization and cultures. Yet our responses have evolved remarkably slowly considering the technological and social advances we have achieved. In the ancient India, the Arthashastra of Kautilya, it documented the sophisticated approaches to dealing with abduction cases that emphasized restoration and community involvement rather than purely punitive measures or sorting through to the deterrent theories of punishments. The text, the text speaks of mediators called madhyastha in Sanskrit. So we believe that the term mediators has derived from the Sanskrit word madhyastha, which in Hindi we call madhyastha, who would intervene in disputes before they escalated to violence or crime, recognizing that prevention through dialogue was a superior to punishment after any harm had occurred. The Vedic traditions, that's the ancient traditions, further elaborate on this through the concept of panchayat, that's derived from the Panch Tantra principles, where the Panch Tantra, Panch means five, where five individuals would mediate disputes using methods outlined in texts like Yajnavalakya Smriti, which prescribed the detailed procedure for resolving abduction cases through community dialogues and restorative measures, which we still practice as a reformative measure we follow, which is a more like a restorative measures that rather than purely punitive responses. Similarly, the ancient Roman law distinguished between different types of abduction and prescribed varying responses that often involved community elders and negotiation processes that sought to restore social harmony while ensuring justice. The cultural dimension of kidnapping cases reveal complexities that our modern legal system often fails to address adequately. In many South Indian communities, the family honor, economic depression, and traditional gender roles intersect in ways that can escalate family disputes into abduction scenarios, particularly in the cases involving forced marriages or custody battles. The one of the Indian ancient epic, which is Mahabharata, itself contains profound narratives of abduction that were resolved through dialogue, mediation by the respected elders, which I talked about earlier, the Panchatra. And see, the story of Draupadi in Mahabharata, in the story of Draupadi Swamvar, I don't know how to explain this Swamvar. I believe you will get it. And the subsequent conflicts demonstrate how the text advocates of Satyagraha, which means holding firmly to truth through non-violent resolutions, while another epic, the Ramayana, handling of Sita's abduction by Ravan, ultimately emphasizes dharmic resolution that considers the welfare of all the stakeholders rather than mere vengeances. The Bhagavad Gita concept of Karma Yoga, which we call these a Karma Yogi if somebody is practicing it, which means the righteous action without attachment to results, which provides the philosophical foundation for mediators who must work toward justice while remaining impartial to outcomes. The Upanishad speaks of ahimsa paramo dharma, that it means non-violence as the highest duty, which aligns perfectly with the mediation principles that seeks to resolve conflicts without causing any additional harm to any party. These ancient stories remind us that our ancestors understood something we seem to have forgotten in our rush towards purely adversarial justice systems. That the healing communities and preventing future harm often requires approaches that go beyond punishment to address the root cause and restore the relationship where possible, guided by the eternal principles of the cosmic order or by the righteous duty, which means the Rita and Dharma, that emphasize balance and restoration over retributions. Our traditional legal framework in India operates under Section 359 to 74 of the Indian Penal Code, which has now transitioned to the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita, providing for imprisonment ranging from 7 years to life, depending on the circumstances and intent. However, I argue, I in fact strongly argue that our conventional approach, while necessary for the deterrence and punishment, falls tragically short in addressing the multifaceted nature of kidnapping cases that often involve complex family dynamics, the economic depression, the mental health issues, and community conflicts that have simmered for generations. The adversarial model, where the state prosecutes the accused while victims and families endure prolonged legal proceedings, often fail to provide the healing, the understanding and prevention that communities desperately need. This is the failure of the justice system. When we examine the international approaches, particularly in case of the international child abduction, we discover innovative applications of mediation that India can learn from and adapt to our unique cultural context. The Hague Convention on the International Child Abduction, which is ratified by 101 countries, recognizes mediation as a process during which the abductors and left behind families work with trained mediators to resolve conflicts independent of the judicial system. Countries like Canada, Australia, and several other European nations have successfully integrated mediation into their child abduction resolution frameworks, which is achieving resolution rates that far exceeds the traditional litigation while reducing trauma for all parties involved. The Japan's experience, despite the initial cultural resistance, of course, demonstrates how mediation can bridge the cultural divides in international abduction cases, while the United States has developed specialized mediation programs through their State Department that combines the diplomatic interventions with therapeutic mediation techniques. I, uh, being in the field of law, I propose that we fundamentally reimagine our approach to kidnapping cases through what I call a dharmic restoration model, that's DRM, dharmic restoration model, which means a revolutionary framework that combines ancient Hindu wisdom with modern mediation techniques while respecting the diverse cultural context in which these crimes occur. This model draws inspiration from the Vishnu Purans, the concept of Lok Sarjana, that means holding the world together through righteous actions, and the another Purans which is emphasized on forgiveness as a divine quality that can uh, transform the conflict into opportunity for growth and healing. The approach does not mean abandoning conflict into opportunity for growth, abandoning the criminal prosecution, but rather creating a parallel pathways that can address the complex needs of all the stakeholders while ensuring justice is served and communities are healed, following the Garud Puran's teachings of the atonement that emphasize the restoration and purification rather than punishment. The model recognizes that kidnapping often represents a symptom of deeper social, economic, and psychological issues that pure punishment cannot address effectively, aligning with the Skandas Puran wisdom that through justice must address the root of unrighteousness to prevent its recurrences. The Dharmic restoration model, which I call it as DRM, it operates through several interconnected innovations that I have developed through extensive research during my career and reflection of on successful traditional dispute resolutions. Uh, the mechanism which is rooted in the Hindu psychological and philosophical traditions, which acted more like a jurisprudence of the the being. The concept of satsang, gathering in the company of wise and truthful individuals, the forms of foundations for what I call the righteous resolution centers in major cities that combined crisis mediators um, and with the cultural interpreters, the mental health professionals, and community elders who can understand the complex dynamics that lead to kidnapping situations. These centers would operate following the principle of seva, which means selfless service, which is mentioned in the Bhagavad Puran and in mostly in every other religious text. If we read it carefully, you'll find it there. Be it Quran, be it Guru Granth Sahib, be it Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad Puran, which is available 24/7 with the capacity to deploy immediately when kidnapping cases involve known perpetrators or family disputes, working alongside the law enforcement to prioritize the victim safety first, while opening channels for the resolution that addresses the underlying causes according to the model from the Taritra Upanishads, which recognizes that human conflicts operate on physical, vital, mental, intellectual, and spiritual levels that must all be addressed for complete healing. The historical precedent for community involvement in serious crimes can be found across cultures, from the African Ubuntu philosophy that emphasizes collective responsibility for the individual actions, to the Native American peacemaking circles that seeks to restore the harmony rather than simply punish the wrongdoings. In the Indian context, the traditional panchayat system, despite its flaws, demonstrated remarkable success in resolving complex dispute through dialogue, community pressure, and agreements that address the root causes of conflict. The modern mediation in kidnapping cases can draw upon these traditions while incorporating contemporary safeguards for the victim rights and due process. My research has identified several critical problems in our current systems that demand innovative solutions that rooted in cultural understanding. The delayed responses mechanism that characterize traditional law enforcement often lack the cultural sensitivity and speed required in kidnapping cases, where family dynamics, community pressures, and cultural expectations create unique urgencies that standardize the protocols which cannot be addressed. Our victim centric approaches remains inadequate because they fail to recognize that in many cultural contexts, many cultural contexts, kidnapping affects entire extended families and communities in ways that individual focused interventions cannot heal. The cross-border coordination becomes particularly challenging when cultural differences between nations create misunderstandings about the motivations, the appropriate responses, and acceptable resolution mechanisms. The resource constraint facing our law enforcement agencies became even more problematic when we consider that effective response to kidnapping cases require not just investigative skills, but cultural competency, the language abilities, and understanding of complex family and community dynamics that standard training programs do not provide. This is the problem. And the problem of the root, when the root cause becomes particularly acute, when we recognize that many kidnapping cases emerge from poverty, social inequality, the family breakdowns, and community conflicts that punishment alone cannot address, but that culturally informed mediation might help to resolve it. To address these challenges, I propose several groundbreaking innovations that merge with the traditional Hindu wisdom with the modern techniques. So while researching on the topic, this was my main concern, that how can I merge the traditional wisdom, just call it traditional Hindu wisdom, with the modern techniques. The dharmic mediation responses teams would consist of trained mediators, the DMRT, which I was earlier talking about, the dharmic mediation responses, which will have teams that which would consist of trained mediators paired with community leaders, religious leaders, or respected community members who can help navigate the complex cultural dynamics that often surround kidnapping cases, following the Guru Shishya tradition outlined in the Mundaka Upanishad, where knowledge and wisdom are transmitted through respectful dialogue and patient understandings. These teams would undergo specialized training that combines crisis mediation techniques with deep cultural competency and trauma enforced approaches that recognize how different communities process this grief, shame, resolution, guided by the principles from the Narad Smriti, which emphasizes on the discriminative. Am I audible to everybody?
Audible, audible.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My screen just reflected a bit. Okay, what I was saying. Yes, I was talking about the trainings. The training would that would incorporate the six enemies, that is Shadirupus concept from the Bhagavad Puran, the lust, anger, greed, delusion, pride, envy, to help the mediators understand the psychological roots that often lead to kidnapping situations and develop appropriate intervention strategies that address these underlying causes rather than merely their criminal manifestations. The preventive dharmic circles represent another innovations that draws upon the traditional community disputes resolution while incorporating modern mediation principles to address the conflicts before they escalate to kidnapping or abduction, inspired by the mandala concept from the Rigveda, where community members form an interconnected circle of mutual support and accountability. These circles would meet regularly in high-risk communities to address the underlying tensions related to family disputes, economic pressures, or social conflicts that have historically led to kidnapping situations, following the satsang principles or outlined in the Chandogya Upanishad that emphasizes the transformative power of gathering with wise and righteous individuals for collective problem solving. The when when we examine the comparative legal frameworks through the cultural lens, the fascinating patterns emerges that suggest directions for innovations. The Scandinavian countries emphasizes on rehabilitation over punishment, which reflects the cultural values that prioritize community healing and individual transformation. This approach that has shown remarkable success in reducing the rates for serious crimes, including kidnapping. Not only kidnapping, but kidnapping is also part of those heinous offenses which has been made. Their integration of victim offender mediation into criminal justice proceeding demonstrates how cultural values supporting the dialogues and restoration can be institutionalized without compromising public safety or accountability. The traditional Islamic mediation practices I will talk about, as implemented in various Middle Eastern countries, demonstrate the sophisticated approaches to cross-cultural dispute resolution that could be adopted for international kidnapping cases. The emphasis on finding solutions that preserve dignity for all the parties while ensuring accountability creates framework that can address the shame and honor issues that often complicate kidnapping situations involving cultural conflicts or family disputes. The economic conditions for implementing culturally informed mediation in kidnapping cases reveal the compelling arguments for the investment in these approaches. The traditional criminal proceedings in complex kidnapping cases can cost the state several lakhs per cases. When we factor in investigation costs, the court proceedings, the incarceration expenses, and the long-term social cost of unresolved trauma and community breakdown. However, successful cultural mediation can address multiple generations of conflict while preserving the future incidents through community healing and relationship restoration. The technology integration in culturally informed mediation presents exciting possibilities, ladies and gentlemen, that could revolutionize our response to kidnapping cases. The virtual reality system could enable safe communication across cultural and geographic boundaries while preserving important cultural protocols and comfort zones. The AI, which is on the hype these days, could assist in identifying the cultural factors relevant to specific cases and matching parties with mediators who have appropriate cultural competencies. The blockchain technology could create secure, culturally appropriate documentation of mediated agreements that respects the traditional concepts of commitment and honor while providing the modern legal enforceability. The victim rights and protection frameworks for cultural mediation must recognize that different cultures have varying concepts of victimizations, recovery, and resolutions. Some cultures emphasizes individual healing, while others prioritize on community restoration. And effective mediation must be flexible enough to accommodate these differences while maintaining absolute commitment to safety and voluntary participations. The framework would include cultural advocates who can ensure that mediation process uh, respects victims' cultural backgrounds while protecting their rights according to the modern international standards. The research and development initiatives has to be taken, which would focus on documenting successful traditional practices that can inform modern mediation while identifying innovative combinations of the cultural wisdom and contemporary techniques that enhances the effectiveness. This research would be conducted in partnerships which with the communities rather than about them, ensuring that knowledge and development respects cultural propriety while contributing to global understanding of effective approaches to kidnapping resolution and prevention. As I conclude my examination of mediation, because this can go on long and long, and because we had because of the paucity of time, I will conclude this the examination of mediation, law, and kidnapping through the cultural and historical lenses rooted in the Hindu wisdom. I want to emphasize that the innovations I have proposed are not merely a theoretical constructs, but they are practical possibilities that draws upon the successful practices from the vast treasure house of Sanatan Dharma, combined with the insights from the multiple cultures and the context, the ancient concepts of the Maha Upanishads, the world is one family, which provides a philosophical foundation for approaches that recognize our common humanity while respecting our cultural diversity in addressing the shared challenges like kidnapping and community trauma, while the principle of Sarve Bhavatam Sukhina from another Upanishad, which means that may uh, all beings be happy, reminds us that true justice must seek the welfare of all the stakeholders, including victims, communities, and even those who have caused such harm, through processes that can transform the suffering into opportunities for healing and growth. The statistics I shared at the beginning of this presentation represented more than numbers. They represent human sufferings that demands our immediate and innovative response, informed by the best human wisdom across cultural and centuries. The traditional approaches to kidnapping, while necessary, are sufficient for the complexity of modern challenges that cross cultural boundaries and require solutions that can heal communities while ensuring justice and prevention. So, for the implementation of the proposed solutions, the resolutions, one must think out of the box and not follow the same path that we have been walking on since like 100 years on. Like the I call upon this international community to embrace cultural mediation, not as a replacement of a criminal justice, but as an essential complement that can heal communities, restore relationships where appropriate, and prevent future crimes through approaches that addresses the root cause while respecting the diverse ways that different cultures understand harm, healing, and the resolution. The time has come to move beyond the limitations of purely punitive approaches towards more holistic models of justice that draws upon humanity's collective wisdom about conflict resolution and community healing. I like the success of culturally informed mediation in kidnapping cases will require unprecedented cooperation between the legal system, the law enforcement agencies, the most importantly, the mediation practitioners, the mediators, the cultural communities, and the international bodies. It will require significant investment in training, technology, the cultural research, and institutional reform that respects traditional knowledge while incorporating modern safeguards and capabilities. Most importantly, it will require a fundamental shift in how we think about justice, that is, from mere punishment to genuine healing and prevention that honors both individual rights and the community well being. I urge each one of you to return to your respective countries, which most of you will, and the jurisdictions as ambassadors for this vision, working to identify the cultural resources within your own communities that can contribute to more effective approaches to kidnapping resolution and prevention. Let us work together to develop a framework training programs, cultural partnerships, and international agreements necessary to make culturally informed mediation a viable and effective tool in addressing the kidnapping cases, while preserving the rich diversity of human approaches to justice and healing. The families torn by kidnapping, the communities traumatized by these crimes, and the practitioners struggling to provide effective responses to response to it all depends on our willingness to innovative and adapt while drawing upon the wisdom of our ancestors and the diversity of our cultures. Let us seize this moment to transform how the world addresses one of the most challenging crimes by combining the best of the ancient wisdom with the possibilities of the modern innovation. Together, we can build a future where justice incorporates healing, prevention, and restoration of human dignity while respecting the cultural context that shape how people understand harm and accountability and the resolution. The path forward requires courage, creativity, and many such things like cultural sensitivity and collaborations. These are the qualities that this distinguished gathering embodies in abundance, and the and that human cultures have developed over the millennia of learning to live together despite our differences. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that would be my presentation. Thank you so much for your attention, and I look forward to our discussion that how we can collectively advance this critical work while honoring both our shared humanity and our rich cultural diversity in approach to the justice healing. So thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, those insightful. Now, more interesting for me, interesting time, because there where we can figure out not just what we have on the papers, where's the numbers, who did something to prevent this kidnapping. And my first question, and there we have in the chat 2 questions for each of you. Before I will start, dear Professor, the Faiz, I know your organization is working exactly with the human rights, you try to protect and the follow the constitutions, you know, the international regulations, how is working. And I know you heard about the trafficking of children for organ harvesting, and you know about this situation. And now for me, it's important, and not only for me. Let's say I am just a participant and I'm in this country like India, Pakistan, where you know it's a high level, as you know by the numbers, because I have the diagram here, and I'm witnessing that is the black market organ, and the countries who is around of this black market are India, Pakistan, China, Palestine. Nothing is common. Can you just comment why these countries, around of these countries, so huge amount of the black bank?
So that's a very interesting statistic which you put forward, Christine. What's the common thing in these countries? There are a lot of similarities, but at the same time differences as well. From a cultural perspective, there are certain amount of similarities which are definitely there in the countries which you pointed out, but none of the cultures, none of the robust cultures of the world on any place of the world actually prescribe for such heinous offenses, which goes to the extent of dealing with organs. Um, what I can possibly think of is that perhaps a lot of it has got to do with corruption and poverty, and it's a deadly combination of both of them. So when you have a look at the countries which you mentioned, I mean, none of them are actually highly developed countries, so to speak. There may be a lot of laws available, whether we talk about the common law legal traditions, as far as India or Pakistan is concerned, whether we have a look at the unitary one-party system of governance as far as China is concerned. What I believe is that there's a lot of corruption and human rights crisis in certain bits and pieces, which is not uniformly covered across the country. So what I mean to say here is that if you talk about India, uh, in bits and pieces, certain parts of the country, you would find that there's a lot to be desired for as far as implementation of the law coupled with morality is concerned, and in general, the awareness levels of the people, and for that matter, the moral levels. And in other parts of the country, it would be relatively well off. But the other thing which I can definitely find a common piece here is the sheer population density of these countries. The sheer population of these countries. If you simply combine the populations of the countries which you mentioned, that is a good 30 to 40% of the world population. So at the end of the day, I mean, numbers. I'm not saying it's a very wonderful situation, but sometimes numbers can be misleading as far as the sheer population density is concerned. So even that may be a contributing factor. These are the things, but at the end of the day, I would like to go back to the comment which I made as far as the objective implementation of the procedural laws is concerned, because procedurally there's a lot of challenges which these countries face, and simply signing certain international conventions is not going to help. You need to adopt, apart from the litigation methods, other methods as well. And one thing which I forgot to mention in my talk was the victim centric justice system. So if we have a look at the Indian procedural laws, they are on the way to facilitating the victims as well, because at the end of the day, whenever any crime happens, more often than not, the entire spotlight is on the accused side of things. But victims who are equal stakeholders in the justice delivery mechanism, their voice should be heard. And if this happens at a large scale, if this is highlighted and portrayed in the correct manner, I think we can successfully reverse the trend, which is an unfortunate trend to have, and have large bits of control as far as this issue is concerned. As far as, in India, there is only one official law, which is the Transplantation of Human Organs Act, which talks about legally transplanting the human organs as far as organ donations and all is required. So that's the legal side of it, but there's definitely a lot to be desired, as you rightly pointed out. So, yeah.
Dear Professor, I understand that we do have a lot of declaration. Even we do have an international declaration of protection of the women and the children from abuse and violence and everything. This declaration is working in India?
So I believe you're talking about CEDAW, CEDAW, which is the convention as far as elimination of discrimination against women is concerned. India is a party to many of these conventions. There are different laws. If you have a look at women in particular, we've got the Domestic Violence Act, which takes into consideration the violence which is carried out against women in certain cultures, in certain parts of the country. That was a law which we enacted in 2005. We have got a law on prevention of children against sexual offenses, because very often the kidnapping which takes place against the children particularly, this is coupled with sexual offenses as well. So there's this law called, which I told you, the POCSO Act, Prevention of Children Against Sexual Offenses Act, that is working as far as India is concerned. Sometimes these crimes are also very much based on caste. Caste is a big factor as far as commission of crimes very often in India is concerned. So our constitution through Article 17, officially abolishes caste-based discrimination and untouchability. And as a result of that, we have got the Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Atrocities Act. So atrocities, basically any kind of misbehavior which is carried out against a person based solely on the caste of that person, that is also legislated upon by the Indian Parliament. However, these are really good laws if we have a look at it by and large. But at the end of the day, in India, the investigation agency, or for that matter, the entire judicial system, it's not a federal system, it's a unitary system. What I mean to say here is that even though from all points of administrative efficiency and legislative domain, India is a federal country whereby there is the union government, there's a state government who enact laws on different subject matters. But as far as the courts are concerned, the same court, the same judge will take up matters pertaining to the state laws also, and pertaining to the union or the central laws also. So sometimes, over and above the investigation agencies, even the judiciary itself gets highly overburdened. There's a lot of burden on the judiciary. There's simply too many cases, too much on the plate of the judicial officers in order to administer the justice, taking into consideration the already existing lacuna as far as the investigation agency is concerned. So there are layers to the entire problem, and there's no one solution which will fix everything. So there are layers which are required to be incorporated into the system, which includes investigation as well as judicial reforms.
Okay, this is everything. This is great, but I have a real case now in India, and we could not help. We're fighting, not me, it's my good friend of mine. She's attorney, and she's trying to fight of the right of the women. Yesterday we have conversation, and I do believe it's very nice that Ahmad is here. We we spoke about the rights of women in Afghanistan. You know the situation in Afghanistan, I know. So the India, some of the families from different region, I'm not talking about in Delhi, because different cities they are living differently, and they have a law. So this such a families where the women's they treated like, I could not find even a word. And you understand what my point of the question. So how this organization like yours can fight for the women's the voice, the rights, the girls and the boys, because they are really facing sexual abuse. And I spoke yesterday with Ahmad, and I said about Pakistan, what's happened, that even not that it not about the girls and even boys, they are selling the boys to dance or to have a party or to do something. Young boys, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and nobody asked them. So when we will stop to have this black market for children's black market, and I do know that we have a zone with conflict, this conference about the conflict, and we want to come to the peace. We can't come to the peace when we are facing kidnapping, international one, when the family is facing, when they have to sell children in the market, and you are going to the market, supermarket, and you're buying, you're selling your children in order to take a food or take something else or money. This is not acceptable in any country. I know the India and China have a huge market. What happened in Thailand? They have the same, the sexual, the trade. The girls, and they are kidnapping them, and they are taking them in other countries. They take in Israel, they are taking in other countries. They put them in the base, and they 13, 14, 15. I'm not talking about something which is not only on the paper. A lot of people in this, the government, the police, and the international, they know about this story. And I know about numbers now. I asked yesterday the journalist, he gave me some numbers, how much the children now disappear in Palestine. The more than 12,000 is what she told me. But these children disappear. They're not killing them. Of course, if something happened, what happened, what can first come to your mind is the black market organs for using in the future. I don't know what to think about, and I will now use these questions to you to answer. The Andrew asked, the kidnap and abduction has been with us since biblical times and has developed significance since then and used by the governments under the guise of the lawful detention by the criminals and by terrorists with a focus on kidnap for ransom. Do you think, Professor Fayez, do you think that the new laws that aim to prevent the payment of the ransom are seen to fund terrorism as being effective and reducing the incidence of the kidnap, or does it only frustrate efforts to retrieve hostage from captivity?
Yeah, so to answer both your queries, Christine, first of all, what Mr. Andrew has written, I'll take that up. As far as criminal laws is concerned, what is the parameter to adjudicate whether any criminal law is successful or a failure? It is the crime rate. So, for example, 28th of September 2025, there comes some new criminal law which deals with kidnapping, for example. All right. And maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years down the line, you then carry out a research. Maybe in 2028, you carry out a research. Research about what? About the crime rate pertaining to kidnapping. All right. So You will see the pre-2025 era, that what was the crime rate, how many offenses pertaining to kidnapping used to happen before 2025, all right? And then you will see that post 2025, what has been the crime rate as far as kidnapping is concerned. So there are three possibilities for this, for the answer to this research. One is the crime rate remains as it is. There is no change at all, which means that the new law hasn't changed anything. All right. The second possibility is that there is a reduction in the crime rate. And the third possibility is that there is a further increase in the crime rate. All right. So if there are two out of the three possibilities suggest a failure, if the crime rate remains as it is or the crime rate increases further, it simply shows that the introduction of the new law has had no possible positive tangible effect at the ground level. Only if the crime rate reduces, only then we can say that yes, the law is successful. So to answer Mr. Andrews' question, I believe that the instead of the reduction in the incidence of kidnapping, there has been an increase, a considerable increase. And in fact, in certain parts of the world, it is not only a minimal or a nominal increase, but the increase has been in a skyrocket manner. All right. So it's a considerable increase. So I believe that the latter holds more true in most jurisdictions, unfortunately, that it frustrates the efforts to retrieve the hostages from captivity. So that would be my humble opinion. As far as your discussion, interesting discussion, Christine, pertaining to your observations is concerned, is that about the children and young children being subject to extreme torture and all kinds of human rights violations. I believe that in the name of culture, not anything and everything can be accepted. In the name of sometimes ancient traditions, not anything and everything should be accepted. So a multifaceted approach as far as making the society aware, making the people aware in general about the positives of their own culture, that is required, because at the end of the day, not everything can be achieved through law. As people from the legal fraternity, we unnecessarily tend to overemphasize the importance of law. Law, to be honest, with due humility, is not a good agent of social change. You cannot achieve a lot of results using the law. If that were the case, then there would be, no crimes, there would be no family disputes, mediators would not be required, because at the end of the day, law is not a good agent of social change. So not everything should be outsourced, if I may use that word, to law in order to reduce the crimes like kidnapping is concerned. A lot of societal changes, awareness, making people aware of the positive aspects of the culture, eliminating the negative cultural impacts, eliminating certain ancient traditions which are in no ways in synchronization with human rights. That is more the way to go.
Thank you very much. So the next, I will just move to the question from Andrew in the chat to Utsav. It will be worth your time. I think when you spoke about the training, so the Andrew commented, and it said it will be worth your time to undertake the law enforcement training to hostage crisis negotiation, particularly around the kidnap. The families of hostages are supported by the family liaison officers, so that in responding, we all understand the family dynamics and broader community terrorists around the kidnap. So he actually this is not the question. He just want to constatate that this training, what you
Yes, Mr. Andrew, this is a very insightful recommendation. I fully agree that law enforcement training in hostage and crisis negotiation, especially in the case of kidnapping, would be invaluable in strengthening both the practical and theoretical dimensions of the work. The such training does not merely equip one with tactical negotiation skills, but also emphasize the importance of understanding the psychological state of victims, the motivations of the perpetrators, and immense emotional toll on families. The role of family licensing officers is especially significant as they provide structured support to the families while also ensuring that law enforcement agencies remain sensitive to the human dynamics and community tensions that invariably surround the kidnapping incident. So by exploring the interplay between these two worlds, the traditional wisdom that prioritize harmony and restorative justice, and modern crisis negotiation that prioritize safety and de-escalation and the practical resolution. This way, we can begin to envision the transformative solutions that are both human and effective. This integration acknowledges that kidnappings are not just legal or security matters, but also profound the social and cultural crisis that requires sensitivity to family dynamics and community fears and broader societal implementations. So, in that sense, your suggestions, sir, underscore precisely the bridge I seek to highlight, combining time-tested cultural insights with the specialized modern methodologies to respond to kidnapping in ways that are both context sensitive and justice oriented. So yes, I was talking about the same thing, and thank you for your invaluable insights, sir.
Thank you, Saf. And just I want to again constatate, we are here sitting here somehow we see each other, our children, you know, where your children are around of you, or your nephews or nephews and the grandchild. But in every 10 minutes, and maybe less, some woman or child is under sexual abuse or violence or kidnapped. Every 10, even less, worldwide. And we are sitting here, we just speak about how we can do, how can we prevent, if it will work out. And somehow some officers are working there and they see different realities. I spoke with policeman, he says, you could not see when we heard 911, or in different country, here is 112, when somebody is calling, my daughter today is just get lost, because even though you are coming earlier, they say, okay, maybe she went to her girlfriend or to the grandmother. Did you call to your grandmother? Maybe we have to wait 1, 2 days. These protocols, they kill. These protocols who prevent, maybe in these 2 days you can find, if you will hurry, you have to do, and you're alone without any government support or department support. Please tell me, you or Andrew or someone, if I am not correct.
Absolutely, ma'am. You are 100% correct. In fact, the number you said that between every 5 minutes or 10 minutes, the global number is even less. The number we are talking about, those are the reported numbers that came to us. What about those unreported matters, those unreported cases which happened, right? So that's why I was trying to explain in my presentation as well that we need reforms and reforms in the cultural context so that it will still be relevant to people that who are sorting to, because if I just come across and introduce something very novice to you, very new to you, you might hesitate to adopt such measures, right? But if something is culturally rooted within and it's in yourself, it's a part of your upbringing, it's a part of your culture, so it is the best way and the easiest thing for you to adopt and to implement on, and gradually significantly the number will fall down.
Yeah,
So these
and
are only measures and ways one can sort to.
yeah,
There will
and
be gaps in
exactly
measures
the
that should
question
be.
is
Yeah.
raising exactly for the WhatsApp. Just we are speaking about the youth, a new generation, how they use activities just in civil society's organization, because I'm not talking about the individuals, because individuals can do nothing, and only organizations might be have a voices in such a countries, they can strengthen the prevention and can become have advocacy efforts.
And I feel that the problem is uh, in the understanding of situations. Like I see many young people, young generation students, and there are many such kids that they are being sexually abused. They are being subject to such heinous offenses, yet they are trying to make themselves okay with it in the name of love. So the understanding is the problem. The power of acceptance is something which is very requisite here. That's the most essential thing. Once you accept something that yes, this thing has happened to me, then it's like identifying a problem. If you're accepting something, that means that yes, you have now identified the problem. Now you have to work on the problem to find the solution, because no solution can be achieved by raising the problem. You start ignoring such acts, you go into depression, you try to move on. The term move on is something I hate the most. I am moving on. What the hell are you moving on from? The situation happened. The next time it will escalate. It won't drop down. So for the acceptance is important. You should accept what the problem is. Yes, something happened to me. Right. Now let's sort to such measures that is acceptable and applicable to each one of us. So there are many offenses and many such situations where mediation cannot play a role. But where mediation can effectively play a role, I have already stated in my presentation, it should be sorted with the cultural applications in mind.
I think a lot of regions, the state capacity is weak. I know, and the people in this organization, some of the region, even one country, they are for me like disabled. Let me call like that. They are like they exist, but they are disabled. So they can speak, they can write, they can publish, they can do, but no, but they are not heard. Why? No legacy. So the thing is, we will not, you don't have a power. Okay, you can build 2,000 organization in one country, billion organization in one country, but they are useless. What they
Yes,
can
of
do.
course. Of course, acknowledgement is the first place, no? That you should know that what happened to me is wrong.
We need hero. I understood. We need some hero from our ancestors where have this brave, some spirit to go against, or maybe to give some hope, because a lot of the families, they have a fear. You know what stops them? Fear.
Yeah.
I think if I will go, if something, because the government corrupted, this corruption, their corruption, this and everywhere, because the money talks, and if I will be so good and I will support the another families whose neighbors who the child is kidnapped, but I saw who kidnapped, because maybe it's a policeman, maybe somebody else, but if I will go and protect and I say they will do it with the same with my family.
Absolutely.
So the fear which stops a lot of good people to help. My question is open. What we can do with this story worldwide? We need to wait the Superman who will give to us powers. We will we will just I don't know, somehow we will just stand up in the morning and say enough is enough. How we can heal this planet? Because nothing wrong with this planet. It's wrong with us, with human beings. Unfortunately. And I want to say, I think, great, thank you. Somebody have a question, please, because I am getting so upset because I want to find solution. I don't want to see no one, the women cry or be beaten or killed or raped, or the children the same. Doesn't matter, boy or girl.
The solution lies in the synchronization of the activities of the all stakeholders concerned. It's easier said than done, of course, but there are multiple stakeholders over there, both at the international and at the domestic level. As far as my understanding is concerned, Christine, this includes not only the state authorities. Let me be very clear. This includes the civil society. This includes the non-governmental organizations. This includes the research centers. This includes think tanks. But this synchronization, sometimes it feels utopian in today's day and age, and that is very unfortunate. That is on us as the society as a whole. I don't know where to find the solution to this existential problem which we are having. But it lies at its core, it lies in the synchronization of the activities and the steps taken by all stakeholders concerned in a targeted manner.
I saw one I had a great, just I want to just finalize why in my practice when I was doing practice in the custom department, and I was just graduated student, and we have a practice, and just you are just like a newborn one, and try to follow the mentors. And I really had a great mentors, practitioners. I have been practicing in the police academy and everything, and they gave me a lot of advices how to survive, because I am a lady. How to survive, how to be strong among, because it's a man world and so on. And it's everything about here, spirit. It's when you don't have that soul, you can't do something. I think this is coming within us, the power, a women or men. If you have a power, you can survive. And we have some subject, counter-terrorism subject we had. And because I'm a criminal lawyer from the beginning, and he was the CID, because we don't know that the retired CID not exist, and he just shared his one of the war experience, and he told us, look, I witnessed it. I have been on one side, on one country's side, so I went with my military the boys, so I was just take care of them, the young ones from the army, 18, 19, 20, and went to the place by GPS, because they give them the place where to go. So when we went and we witnessed the picture, it was just a stadium. The people just, we see with a mask, a lot of, you call them terrorists, or the civil, the fighters, because when it's war, you don't know who is in this war. So, and they are playing football. By his words, he says, I saw this as a ball, but when I came closer, and he's 50 years in the army, he was working, he's a general, and he says, when I came closer and I see this is a head of 9, 10 years old boys and girls' head, they cut the head and they're playing football. Normally, my hands are just stand. Normally, people just will fail, or I don't know. This is I'm talking about this story. That time, it was silent, 1,000 in audience, all our students, and we have been then 10 girls and now the 900 boys in custom academy, and they listened and said, just voice. Just nothing, because it's no comment that time. And the general says, and from that side, it was for me the dot. And I just left everything, and he went, of course, he chose to be on the other side of another country. He understood what's going on in reality in the war. So sometimes you might be in the wrong place because you don't know in reality what's happened. But the children always suffer. It's a war, doesn't matter. In the developing countries, why the children have to suffer? My point that sometimes you have to do like this general, even though you are keeping one side. If you see there's something wrong with this country or something wrong with these people, why is they allowed to do like that? So you have to choose right. If you are normal and good person, you have to choose the side. So the same with us. I think each of here is with a good heart and understand what's going on. And I do believe in these 10 declaration that we have, IAMPE, what I wrote it, in these 10 years, we will witness less kidnapping, less violences, sexual abuse, and we will come to peace. I think we have to come to peace. It's enough with all of us. Thank you very much to have been here with us. I want to thank Professor Faiz Ayat. I know you are so experienced professor as well. And now I share it with you. I'm sharing what I heard. I'm sharing what we witnessed, because war is war. The tragedy is tragedy. This is a huge problem around of us. And this conflict are in reality, it's not just somebody says to you the rumors, or that just something outside and parables. You just, oh yes, of course, yes, are you sure it's happened? But when you witness it and you share, it's different. It's full of emotion. Thank you very much, Utsav Saurabh, for your I know we all try to implement or change something. We can give the training, we can advise and propose a lot of things to change, but in reality is working. What is working is nature. You react. How you react by I hope your proposal can work in the future, near future. So I want to thank Andrew for nice question and feedback. I want to thank each of the participants on YouTube and here in Zoom meeting. And in 20 minutes, we will start other plenary session, last one, but not least, we after have a closing ceremony of our international conference. I do hope you will stay with us now. We are waiting our panelists. I will say who they are. It's from Cuba, from Ecuador. Araceli, you're here. So Araceli, we are...
Sí, un moment, please. Le estoy ubicando al profesor Rox. Como teníamos programado a las 8, falta 20 minutos. Entonces ya lo ubico ahorita. Please.
So because we will start in the 15 minutes, I want to share with them some information.
Un moment, please.
Yes. We're waiting Dr. Mohammed Afzal Khan and Dr. Daina Ros Alvarez from Ecuador. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you are audible. Do you have a presentation?
Yes, I did, and I sent yesterday on WhatsApp. Is it okay if you can present it?
Because you can direct share with your screen because I gave you access, full access you have.
Okay, give me 1 second. I will.
Oh, you
see.
have time, so you have around 8-9 minutes, so you can share it.
Yeah. So yeah, let me do that. Okay. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
perfect.
ready.
Perfect. So before we start, I want to briefly represent you, Doctor. Please, dear participant, the guest, our conference, we are moving to the last panels. It's AI, cybersecurity, and peace. I want to greet Dr. Muhammad Afzal Khan from USA. He's a senior software architect and AI practitioner. He's an expert human-centered auditable automation for high-stake environments. He led national scale compliance platforms in the May US Bank during COVID-19. He enabled the secure large volume dispute settlements with zero major incidents. So his technical expertise is Pega, Apache, Kafka, and so it's Cedora and responsible AI patterns. He's a member is IEE and reviewer contributing to AI governance, bias evaluation, the privacy by design, and currently exploring AI assistant mediation platforms to reduce case backlogs while ensuring the transparency and due process. I do believe I tried to cover it all what I could, but if you want, you can represent yourself much, much better. The stage is yours, Dr. Mohammed, please.
Thank you so much. It was very warm welcome. Appreciate. And good morning, everyone, and good evening to the Europe. I am Mohammad Afzal Khan, as I already introduced. I will directly go to the topic, and I'm very honored to present today. Okay, so my topic is from cause to care, building peace architecture for separated children with AI. And uh, for separated children with AI and rule of law workflows. So, why we are discussing today is um, to build peace, you must rebuild trust, especially for children. So, my proposal treats child protection as a peace infrastructure. AI handles paperwork, summarizing, translating, and deduplicating the evidence. So, and we also have a workflow platform that applies lawful of the government and auditable, uh, auditable, and already always have the evidence. I'm sure there are many system in place today which works with NGOs and ministries to handle to tackle this situation, but the backlog is huge and the data is fragmented across NGOs and ministries. Evidence arrives in many languages, and the benefits are very hard to audit. So this results in months of delay before lawful support to the child or reunification, uh, and it's also opening the exploitation and trafficking. So we need to support this opening, and we should be able to handle and support our child globally. So that is the idea of today topic. Right. So we need a system that would able to take the intake of all these huge request backlogs, um, and should be able to handle seamlessly. So um, next slide. Yeah. Yeah. So the my position is simple on this topic. It's not the decision of child support is taken by the AI, but AI is only going to handle the intake process and paperwork and follow apply the rules and regulation of territory and the government, and the end decision will be always taken by the human, so that it is still controlled. uh, and we need to use AI to summarize, translate, organize evidence, and retrieve similar cases for better understanding and assistance. And use a workflow management platform to enforce policy-based case handling, and use a secure event streaming backbone to scale and support the huge case and stay reliable. And at the end, humans decide every consequential outcome. We need a system that follow international norms, reunification, kinship first, regulated sponsorship next, and inter-country adoption only as a last resort under the territory rules, government rules. Next slide. Yeah. With the help of AI and advanced technology, the intake process can be seamless across different channels. For example, web, mobile application, SMS, written or printed document, or even voice notes. So at intake process, we can redact the PI personal level information of both the child and support. We can get the explicit consent uh, for the process, and AI will create a neutral one-page brief output which translates the context, extracts entities and timelines, retrieve comparable cases and policy with citations, and raises risk flags for human review. That is the main purpose of using AI in child support systems. With AI, we also need to use advanced workflow platforms to encode country law and cultures. The workflow management create a request to track the fulfillment process, routes the ticket to different actors, tracks SLAs, manage escalations and appeals, and enforce separation of duties. So no single user can approve end to end. So it's always bias decision and unbiased decision. And we need a secure event streaming backbone to ingest high volume NGO and ministry feeds, process in parallel, and keeps an immutable trail for audit and reconciliation. Regulated disbursements use restricted wallets for the tuitions and hostel fees or for the child support. And with AML and CFT screening of sponsors and receipts tied to case event. And we also need to include the AML and CFT to vet the sponsors and beneficiaries, screen against sanctions, verify the source of funds when needed, and monitor transactions. Suspicious activity is blocked and reported. So we need to in place AML and CFT in control to protect children and keep program fully compliant. For audit and explainability, systems should store prompts and outputs, the rules which is decisioned, and the user action. So the a complete audit trail is tracked in the system and should be able to reuse for reconciliation. Next slide. We will go through a small example, which is case study, which can be supported by this AI system. So a scenario where a separated child reported uh, as voice notes, and it has some sample photos from by the NGO. So the intake process begins and generates a ticket in the system. The system does the lookup and gathers more information to support the ticket. Example, maybe the other NGO has partial data, so it will try to recollect. And system transcribes and translates, redacts PI information, and deduplicates any records. So if any other NGO applied for the same child support, then the system should be able to merge the duplicate request to one request. And it will perform and generate a one-page neutral brief and also the timelines for that case. It also retrieves reunification cases and surfaces kinship priority rules for that country. So this request will be it should be able to help in the request decision. The case routes to family tracing while the sponsor completes KYC. So in this scenario, a verified aunt is found and approved. The child is placed with kin and receives a tuition wallet for school. And simultaneously, there was a foreign adoption request which is declined because this is for the child best interest are satisfied in the country. Outcomes. Action in days, not months. And language priority, fully auditability. So this is the result of this system, which desired results. Okay. So this system should be anchored with international law, UNCRC, to support and protect the child. The child's best interest come first, plus the right to identity, family ties, and cultures. Decision run through central authorities. Apply subsidiarity in-country options before inter-country, and use only accredited bodies with strong safeguards. In practice, our workflow encodes these roles as a checklist and approvals. So every step is traceable and auditable. Human makes the final call. The system just organizes and documents. Law first, child first, and every decision is trackable. And there could be crisis and urgencies situations, but we do not need shortcut to support child. It should be best interest of child protection. We prioritize reunification and kinship after identity and family tracing. The system should pause inter-country adoption request until status is verified and documented. Domestic options are exhausting. Every exception requires documented reasons, senior approvals, and appeal path. So this will help to get speed without shortcuts, safety and legally never yield to haste. So safety and legal parts are always first to take. A small, uh, we can come up with a pilot system for a pilot release for this system. Or maybe we can start with 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 accredited NGOs and a small intake process. 1 to 3 weeks to set the policies, consent and redaction rules, and train staff, import a few test cases, and maybe for the 4th or 5th week we can start a in intake channels like web, SMS, voice. So AI triage and workflow, stand up dashboards and audit logs. And like 7th to 9th week, we can run a supervised pilot, human review every AI suggestions for fairness and accuracy. And 10 to 12 week of time, maybe we can able to expand our system and publish a model card, governance checklist, and a short lessons learned memo. Try to prove value in 90 days, measurable, governed, and reversible. Excuse me. With the system, the desired results are speed. So the cut time to first action from intake to the first human decision by at least 50%. Excuse me. School re-enrollment. From days case open to verified school enrollment, the faster the better for stability. Fairness. Outcomes are consistent across language, region, gender, and faith. Incident, we should try to handle a 0% incident while working on this system. Target zero safeguarding incidents. Every alert is investigated and logged. The system published a one-page KPI report for each month, so the results are transparent. the takeaway of this page is faster help back in school, equal treatment for every child. Uh, yeah. To conclude this topic, this AI system is not automation of child protection decisions, but it's a organized, auditable help so human can faster and safer and more fairly minor uh, support the child support system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is a really interesting topic. Why? Because first time I listen about how we can protect the child by using artificial intelligence. We all the time speak about wow, how is good to use artificial intelligence. Wow, it can be tool number one, tool number two, or whatever, replacement, or the friend, or the analytic supporter, whoever you can, babysitter. How you can choose whatever you want, but you mentioned about the safeguarding by using international tools in order to support the children's. Anyhow, they use gadgets, the iPhones, and the iPads, the laptops, whatever they use, the the watches, and everywhere they try to put something like we call network. But now we have artificial intelligence. Some guy from these gadgets start to speak with them. Imagine, as a psychology, I interact, I know how they react, the babies, the children's. Oh my God, I will ask this. Oh, they give them names. Whatever now we have somewhere they have, how say, series, somewhere they have Alice or Jack or whatever. And you know what is the worst, Mohammed? Is a word that some children, because they're introverts, we are all different. And they can't, they are not sociable. And they create a friend, they give them a name, and they speak with a gadget. This is one of the scary.
Right.
That they define the friend, not a mother, father, or the sister, because they all the time argue with them. They put the protocols, don't go there, don't wear this, don't play with this. And this artificial intelligence always smiling to you and say, you are the best, you are the good, you are doing everything correct. Tell me, please, what kind of advice you will give as a professional programmer? What kind of advice you will give to the new, and not only new, the all families, and especially the parents?
With today's world and the environment the children is having is very difficult to even suggest any point of view. But definitely, we should try to have less interaction with AI, especially at the children's age. And while the children grows, they can still use it. Definitely, if AI is the future. They have to use it, but in a positive way, more learning way. So that is there. But I think from the beginning, from the the family should uh, have a hard rule to have a very minimal screen time when the children are at least up to age 7, and from 7 they can start using AI to explore more information with a positive um, right. But AI is the future, so they need to use it to get more technology information, more information on the science, yeah, every aspect of life. So that is the future, and it will be helpful for in very uh, in very places. Like it will support their education. it will support their well-being, but it should be in a controlled manner with given priorities. The education first, yeah. We need
I
to set
fully
the
agree.
goals for it.
Education first, but now you see,
Right.
stuck in the COVID, and I watched, but your credentials that you just was working in a COVID situation, you were just creating AI. And all our education ministries, they transform from in-person education to remotely to online education. So these children, by force, they stuck in this illusion reality,
Right.
how we can call now. So how you can just help them to forget about AI, to forget about the gadget, to just only 1 hour per day. This is
Yeah.
how can you work with this?
So I have 3 kids. If I put a real experience, right? I have 3 kids, and I let them play outside at the park for 2 to 3 hours. So that's way uh, I don't involve them in screen time, especially with the AI, and they are able to grow uh, uh, like emotional wise and health wise. So the idea here is AI is the future. We have to use the AI definitely, but it should be in a controlled fashion. We should, as a family, we should need to we need to support system that uh, gives them maybe 1 to 2 hours to use per day. We need to implement some system so that should help our children with the AI and not should not distract them with their progress.
I had a case. I witnessed it because I'm so, I try to investigate. I take I pay attention for everything around me. Good friend of mine, she has 3 children, 2 boys, 1 girl. They are sitting in the living room. Each of them has a gadget. The smallest one has small, the middle one has middle one, and the biggest the laptop. So they are sitting around. Yes, they're around, and the picture that they are not speaking with each other. They're speaking with AI. So Jay, give me this. I want to speak with. Oh, you are so good, really. And I thought he's speaking with someone by, the friend or the classmate. I have been in a shop and I figure out just like by accident, but I wanted to see with who is he speaking. But they are the youngest one 3 years old and 7 years old and 11 years old. So all of them they are speaking with the virtual friends. This is not correct, I think.
Yeah. So the main one of the thing which we are lacking behind is creating the environment. So if we put the environment in place and we as a parent or a family are more engaged with the children, then they are not going to use the devices. So that is for the first thing. We should, as a society, have more engagement platforms for our children, so they are doing busy. They are doing the things which are benefit for them and don't have enough time to spend on devices. So that is the first and foremost thing as a society we should uh, start doing.
That's correct. It's really good. Now I just want to point the question for you. What role can universities, because this is a conference about peace, How do you think the role can universities play in research hubs, as you are one of the researchers, in an enduring AI for peace, which remains ethical and people-centered?
So, um, so there will be need to in place the system, policies, regulations, and definitely ethics by the individual to use the AI. Um, and so take this way, right? All different. Every coin has a two part, the good part and the bad part. But it's the society's responsibility to show and utilize the good part of the coin by creating environment, by emphasizing what is good with these latest technologies and how to use it, right? That we have to in place in ourselves, in the society, and in our children's globally. So
Yes,
that yeah.
yeah, you can turn.
Yeah, so those practices should be taught in the universities for the young generation, to the young generation, and we can definitely always teach them, help them, and at the end it's individual's responsibility uh, to use it.
This is correct, but I think around the AI, and now you just raised the topic about the children protection from the AI. This have to be in the legal stage. It's not just we spoke around of our neighborhood, we decided, but everything have to be legalized in this level where other organization authorities and the parents can control the same universities, schools, the kindergartens, I think. And
Right.
Mike, I have one more question and I will close. I will not so punish you with my questions. So it's interesting why your topic, I am hearing about this topic first time. We all the time speaking how can we professionals use AI, but we never pay attention how our young generation, they are already in good association with AI, much better than we are, because
Yeah.
somehow they are digital the generation. They understand faster, they learn faster than we are. And the question is you know that in the conflict zones, it may be a bit will be far from your topic, but how do you think and just digital innovation as which is artificial challenges is can endure inclusivity, especially for the marginalizing the communities in the conflict zones? And you know the conflict now we have in the MENA region, everywhere, in the Caucasus region and Asia and even Latin America.
So uh, with the AI, we have as a system have more power than ever. That is true. So with that power, we should uh, we should get more resources to help our children which are in crisis. That is the idea uh, behind to use the AI to support our global child protection with their safety and with their best interest.
Yes, this is correct. And I think more important is, doesn't matter what we will create. Today we create AI. Tomorrow, I don't know. We're already creating robots. So in order who is cooking somewhere in Japan, I saw they are cooking. They are taking children to the kindergarten. They are going to the groceries, the supermarkets, and bringing some stuff. I don't know how is this artificial intelligence video. But it's my good friend of mine shared me from the China that they already have this kind of robots.
Right.
I think they will not destroy our families sooner or later. These robots will not replace us.
Yeah, so we have to consider as a system or a device, but not replacement of the family. So if you have the strong family connection, society connection, then I think we are still in good shape. But from the childhood, if the children are not connected with the family, it's concerning for sure.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I know in USA now, 8:30, right, in the morning.
It's good time, yeah.
It's really morning, and just you speak about artificial intelligence, and I understand now why you raised this topic about the children protection, because you are a good father. You take care this story, and I understand you care that your children will not have the friends, because they have you and mother, they have a nephews, they have a friends, and they will have equal, and I think the more protected childhood,
Right.
natural childhood. We don't have to use iPhone with the AI in order to speak with our friends. Better to have natural tears or natural smile, to run, go to picnic, or so on. And with this nice good note, I want to close this session number 9, and I want to say each of our great, brilliant panelists, thanks, shukran, ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ, Didi Madloba, merci, gracias, and so on. A Nigerian, I forget how is spelling, so I will learn later. And thank you really very much for everything what you are doing in reality, not what you did now for the conference, in real life, that you are investigating, you are researching, you are what you will live, and what each of us will live in this planet. It's a memory, something good behind us, because we are not immortal. Unfortunately, only our soul is immortal, and our memory is immortal. So let we leave something good for this planet, for our new generation, something what we call peace. And I want to smoothly move to the closing ceremony. I don't know who is now with us or not. Our YouTube channel is open so they can witness. I wanted to share some pictures, but I think we will do it closer to our project. And I want to start with dear colleagues, dear friends, dear estimate speakers. As we came to the close of this important gathering, which is really important, I wish to express my heartfelt gratitude to each of you. Over the past 3 days, we have not only exchanged ideas, but we have laid the foundations of what we proudly call architecture of peace in the new global era. We have listened, we have debated, we have laughed, we have even played yesterday, and we envision it together, and what has emerging is clear. Peace is not the privilege of the few, but the responsibility of all of us. It is a structure we must build with passion, courage, and shared commitment. However, the conference is not at the end. Now we know each other, know a lot of people, we share, make the projects together. This is the purpose of the conference. You meet each other, you make new friends, make new communities, and it's just the beginning. We now turn our attention to the future and to the next milestones on our common journey. One of these is one of our IAMPE journey is the International Mediation Diplomacy Competition, IMDC, which will bring together the youth of the world, the future mediators, diplomats, leaders, artificial intelligence pioneers, the government representatives. And through IMDC, we do more than train skills. It's not just competition. We cultivate the values, we nurture the courage, and we plant the seeds of peace where they are most needed for our future generation and the hands of the next generation. And another highlight is our IAMPE award is a ring of the peace ambassador. This ring is not the symbol of status but of service, and it serves for everybody, not of the privilege but of responsibility, and it's honor those who dedication to peace, mediation, humanitarian work, and diplomacy has transcended boundaries, inspired others to carry the light of peace into the most difficult places of conflict and most difficult places on our planet. And we are proud to share that we have another children's project, exactly that Mohammed we just conclude with the Children Protection AI, and we want to mention that we have a great project, and it already start. Peace Makers through the children's eyes. It's an art project for the children, and I will just want to invite all of your children to attend and participate, to draw how they see, because the children they have a pure vision. We can say to them, the peacemaker have to be this and just draw this color or that. No, you have to give them freedom. They have to draw how they see. And in this initiative, we see how the youngest voices and vision harmony and colors, because colors is important, and shapes and the stories that transcend their language. The children remind us that peace is not that abstract the concept. It is a dream lived in every drawing, every hopeful word, every vision of a better tomorrow. And their art is not just beautiful, it is blueprint for the future. In this, especially Declaration IP 2025 and 2035. And beyond this project, IAMPE will continue to develop our global roadmaps, research initiatives, and educational programs, ensuring that not only mediation, legislation, negotiation, and diplomacy become not just an alternative, but a standard of international cooperation. Dear friends, I consider to say that, my dear friends, we became in these 3 days like an international union family. And in the beginning of this conference, we spoke of the architecture of peace. Today, we have placed the first stones of this architecture together. And tomorrow, we will raise its walls higher every day, one by one, And in these years to come, we will see its doors open to all who seeks refuge in dialogue and understanding and compassionate. And let us leave this place not only inspired, but empowered. And let us be ambassadors of neutral ambassadors, ambassadors of mediation, conflict resolution. Where we go, whenever we go, carrying with us a conviction that peace is possible, peace is practical, peace is a true future of humanity. On behalf of IAMPE, I want to thank you all once again for your presence, your wisdom, your dedication. May our paths cross again soon, next year in Armenia, 26th of June 2026, with IMDC competition in celebration of the Peace Ambassadors Ring, which award will be exactly in open ceremony, 26th of June. In the bright vision of our children's art, which deadline will be in 20 December 2025, before Christmas. And before we part, let us share one more moment together. I invite you all to join our joyful flash mob, IAMPE Cup of Peace, Cup of Smile, and the smile gesture and shared smile and the lifted cup remind us that the peace begins with small acts. It's not necessary to have money, to give money for charity or to build church, to build mosque, to build something and say, look, I'm good because I did. No. The peace is anonymously have to be shown. And with these small acts of kindness multiplied across the world by hashtagging the IAMPE Cup of Peace, together we declare the decade of mediation diplomacy declaration, IAMPE declaration 2025-2035. And as we lift our IAMPE Cup of Peace, let us carry forward not only dialogue, commitment, but also a smile. The smilest and most universal language, the simplest and the most universal language, and this for peace. Thank you, dear friends. Thank you, dear estimate speakers, dear colleagues, their families, and just participants. And until we meet again, let us carry this smile of peace wherever we go. Thank you very much. And I want to see I want to make one huge picture, and I will just ask to open cameras, and I want to really see you, and I want to see your smile, because only this smile, even though a lot of people have the disease, and some have a cancer. The cancer doesn't mean that you have the terrorism is a cancer. Everything what you're doing bad is a cancer. So let us smile in order to heal people, to give them hope that we are here and we are enough to support how we can. So, Andrew, Ahmad, please switch on the cameras. Basu. Let me do 2, 3 ones. Feel free to do the same, and don't forget to smile. One more. Can you open, because I don't know, somehow I could not open the cameras. Louisa, can you switch on the camera? Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If you want to give some reflection, because I want to listen, any advice, any reflection, how you feel after this conference, please feel free.
Kristen, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to participate. This wonderful conference and looking forward to participate more and more. Thank you for your spirit for every moment we are spending with you.
Thank you very much, Professor Gansa. Just look at you, how you inspiring as well, and from different corner of our planet. Now you speak from Iraq, and you are smiling. You, someone will see in Iraqi country who is like now, or displaced, or just without, he loses hope. He look at you and will say, wow, welcome to strong women. I want to be like she is. So we need to inspire people. Just smile and give them a hope.
And you inspire all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do hope somebody did, because Louisa tries to open the cameras. I could not. I want Andrew. They are just facing some trouble. And I can't make their picture of their smile, but because their smile is important for each of the country, because here we have Cyprus, Afghanistan, and Scotland. I will just say that they are here with us. Unfortunately, and somebody else want to say something? Araceli? Oh, Andrew, we need your smile. We need to see your smile. Bravo. Let me do the picture. Perfect. Araceli, stage is yours. Tell me how you feel.
Así, la reflexión está en el text-mex. Podríamos decir que el conflicto es parte natural de la vida, pero también está dentro de la escuela de lo que marca la diferencia. Y no solamente es la existencia del conflicto, sino la manera en la que le podemos enfrentar. Si elegimos una sanción o un castigo, o sembramos distancia y hacemos una cultura de paz. Y un mensaje: construir la paz comienza con los gestos sencillos, escuchar al otro, respetar las diferencias y buscar juntos soluciones. La paz no se hereda, no se impone, se aprende y se practica día a día. Y cada uno de nosotros como mediadores podemos seguir sembrando o ser sembradores de la paz, tanto en la escuela como en la familia y en la comunidad. Muchas gracias, Cristín, por la invitación, por participar en este evento tan maravilloso de 3 días. Creo que cumplimos con todas las metas que teníamos proyectadas. Gracias a Latinoamérica por estar siempre. Silvi, Zoraida, Brenda, Pablo Arteta, que es nuestro equipo de American Latina. Thank you so much, Christine.
Thank you very much. So I see most of our community now with switching on cameras. I'm doing nice picture and just send us nice smile. Great. So each of your country will see how strong and brilliant minds they have. Perfect. Andrew, your reflection, your feedback.
Thank you, Christine. I've been really impressed with some of the inputs across the conference. Lots of really good information, but more importantly, lots of opportunity to connect and to work together in some of the conflict countries to try and bring peace, which is the most important thing. So thank you very much. And a special mention to Ahmad for sharing the story of his difficult journey from Afghanistan to Canada. I'm very proud of him. Thank you.
Yes, this is really inspiring. And we will give him as well as floor if he is here. Luis's beautiful smile from the beautiful Cyprus.
Dear Christine, once again, I'd like to thank you and the organizing team for this amazing and very honoring proposal and to participate to those 3 days of information exchange, amazing speeches, and it has been a really fruitful event. Let it be the beginning of a global cooperation among us to bring a better future to our countries, to our world, because only by being united and by working side by side, we can do this world a better place for our children and the next generations. Once again, dear colleagues, distinguished guests, thank you very much for whatever you have provided to us those 3 days.
Amen. I think for these good, kind words, what you are sharing, your reflection is kind of the just poem for the peace. Who wants to share reflection? Silvia?
Sí, con mucho gusto quisiera decir y compartir con ustedes que hoy construir paz no es ausencia de conflicto, todos lo sabemos, sino la capacidad de transformar el dolor en diálogo, la injusticia en cuidado y la diferencia en encuentros como este. Muchas gracias y hasta pronto.
Gracias from Silvia, I know from Argentina. Brenda, Mexico, Paraguay, which one? Zoraida, who is want to give the floor?
Sí,
Zoraida.
agradecida por estar en este evento, ya que realmente es expander lo que significa la paz y es sembrar en cada uno de nosotros esa semillita de repartir nuestros conocimientos y a la vez estar contentos de poder encontrarnos a nivel mundial con personas de cada parte del mundo y tener el mismo pensar de que la paz realmente es un camino que tenemos que seguir sembrando para que este mundo sea mejor.
Okay, thank you very much, Zoraida. Brenda. You are muted.
¿Sí? ¿Sí me escucha?
Yes.
Estoy muy agradecida con la oportunidad de participar en este gran evento que consolida un propósito de unión, de paz y que rompe las fronteras, ¿sí? De países, de lenguajes, de idiomas, de idiosincrasias y que podemos vernos a pesar de estar a la distancia y unirnos con propósitos similares. Estamos unidos porque estamos convencidos en las herramientas de paz que consolidan la diplomacia, la mediación, la negociación y que a pesar de las distancias y las diferencias, tenemos la unión en un mismo propósito. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Brenda. Gracias. And I think I will give the floor if Ahmad is here. I think he will give us some advice.
Hello.
Hello.
In Canada, it's very early in the morning, so I woke up at 3 a.m. Then I was listening. I did like
Okay, you are brave, you see?
Yeah, it is 6 o'clock in the morning. So thank you everyone for the nice speech they had. And also thank you for Mr. Brown to mentioning about my story. And thank you, Christian, great director, and your hardworking team that made this opportunity that people come together and speak about peace. In my idea, peace is only achievable with education, awareness, and talks. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ahmad. And we want to, all of our community want to wish your family peaceful life, and let your vision will touch other communities, and you will be like the example for hope, because you see, even in difficult situation, you can find the light. And this what we have to do. And 2 weeks ago, when I was just walking and I saw the flower was blowing in the concrete, and I understand, no, this is not the end. Even in concrete can blow the flower, and the flower is Ahmad. Even this situation, he escaped and he's trying to live. So we do our best. And now we unite, because we do a lot of friendship. We know now we like each other, and we can bring peace more and work. Thank you very much, and see you soon next year in our competition in Armenia. Welcome. I'm sending the hearts of peace to everyone. See you. We officially closing IAMPE 25. But we are not saying goodbye. See you soon.